once it loads.
While it's loading, it sometimes starts up before it says it's loaded, so bear that in mind.
Oh, you give me a hand? How are you?
All right, call this meeting to order. Welcome to the Parks and Rec Committee meeting for Thursday, June 15th. Ask if anybody's got any pecuniary interest to declare it at the appropriate time. If you have a cell phone on, please ring her on. So we're going to start right into it. With the delegation from the Wyoming pool.
Okay. So we're just going to talk a little bit about like how our registration went, because we had our registration last week and the week before. All of our private lesson spots are completely full and there is a wait list for them.
Quite long wait list.
Yeah, our group lessons are filled. We've almost completely full for our first session, and our second and third session are filling up. Our fourth session still has quite a few empty classes though. Our evening group lessons, which is like our new thing that we added this year, are almost completely full as well for all the sessions. So that's allowing a lot more people to get in at those like after work hours of like 4 to 7 p.m. which is good because that means a lot more kids are able to do lessons at that time than when we previously had our private lessons. And then we just have one like concern that we'd like to bring to the council's attention. We have a chlorine line that runs in our pump room
Directly above the walkway to get out to the pool and then into the chemical room.
and we had a leak last year and then again this year, and this year it was leaking from above, which we think is a big safety hazard because it could have gotten in somebody's eye. We are really lucky that it didn't. It also caused a pretty big chlorine leak like on the floor, so like we were unable to work in the building for a day. We think that it could be like encased completely over the walkway. It doesn't need to be encased in the chemical room because in there's already chemicals, but it should be encased where our like employees walk to and from.
I can give an update on that. Al and I have been in discussions in regards to that. I know the line has been repaired and we are looking to put line over top of the walkways in the conduit with that, and to we are talking to some water treatment operators to see if we can get a different grade line that may stand up to the chlorine a little bit better. So we're looking at addressing it.
We also wanted to mention that our eye wash station sits in the chemical room, and it also sits directly kind of below the chlorine line. It still does. I know that it got moved from underneath the chlorinator, but it is still underneath the chlorine line. So if we were to have a leak in the chemical room, our eye wash station would probably be unusable.
It'd probably easier at this point to rerun the chlorine line around the edge of the room instead of in a straight run.
Yeah.
And relocate the eye wash one more time.
I agree.
It would probably have to go like out, like towards the door out to the pool, because if it still runs along that wall, it's still gonna be right over top of the eye wash station.
Yeah.
So is the eye wash station in the chemical room?
Yes, yes.
That's where you're most susceptible to the chemicals. To give
Oh,
yourself
that's
away.
the only place you, but. All right, but-
Chemicals in your eyes, it's gotta be right there.
oh, it does? Okay. Explaining, Lucy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we passed our health inspection today,
Yes,
so
we did.
we're all good to open for the weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's all you have to say.
That's the only concern, chlorine line.
Anybody in the committee have any questions for the pool girls?
No, just
Sounds like it's
keep
going
up the
great.
good work.
Yeah.
Ladies.
Thank you. You guys can stay or leave, whatever you want. Guessing you're leaving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, moving on to 4.1. I've got these in order. Got a motion by Mr. Bojan, seconded by Dean Thomas, that the regular Parks and Rec Committee meeting minutes be adopted by the committee, and those confidential minutes in closed session remain confidential and restricted from the public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided by the Municipal Freedom of Information Act and Protection and Privacy. May 18th, regular meeting minutes, and the 18th is closed meeting minutes. Any discussion on that? Any errors or omissions? Anyone saw? I didn't see them. Okay, all in favor? Asked. Business arising from previous minutes. Tick information brochures are available in the office for the public, as well as posted on our website under public notice.
And
What is that?
also we're getting signs made,
That's right.
sign.
I've reached out to PR Creative down here to show them the picture that was provided to me by Jessica, just say, I want this same sign, so I asked for a dozen to start with, and a few weeks before it comes in.
Any questions?
Sorry, the minutes, I think there be an issue with the staff members who were listed as present.
I have updated that.
Oh, okay.
I noticed that when I printed the agendas today. Apologize.
That's everything, Chair.
Thank you. Moving on, 6.1. That the accounts listed be received by Plympton-Wyoming Parks and Recreation Committee for May. Any questions on that? I have one. I didn't see. Go ahead.
I have a question about the,
I didn't see anything about rocks.
Unfortunately, they're not.
2 garbage cans for washrooms at Highland Glen. They must be lined in gold, are they?
They're stainless, they're steel,
Okay,
So you-
I haven't seen.
the ones you hang on the wall.
Okay. That's all.
Anyone else? Got a motion moved by Dean Thomas, seconded by Alex Bojan, that the accounts as listed be received by the Plympton-Wyoming Parks and Recreation Committee for May. All in favor? All right, thank you. Moving on to 7.1, Spring Parks Tour. The report prepared by Jessica Wilson, Executive Assistant, Public Works, dated June 2nd regarding the Spring Parks Tour that we did in 2023 be reviewed, received, and filed appropriately. Any questions on that one? No one?
No.
Well, that's kind of weird. Yes, go ahead,
Okay.
Deputy Mayor. Floor is yours.
So as we went around, I like Lakeshore Park isn't on, yeah, it's on here. But I understood that the parking lot at Lakeshore Park is going to be a little bit more glorified. And it doesn't mention it in here. So it's a lot of things that aren't mentioned in this tour. Do we add them now or do we mention them later? But I'm not sure how you want to handle this. Like, well, at Lamrecton Park, they're supposed to replace trees, okay? And it doesn't say that in this tour here. But is this the gospel, this tour, or I'm not sure what we're.
Chair.
Yes.
No, this is not your gospel. This is just a summary. If you've noticed items that that were not put onto this list that could have been done in there. There's together a lot of documents. So we can add those in after the fact. We'll reflect that.
Okay, so. You mentioned, not gonna go through my list right now, or how do we do this?
The improvements to the lakeshore washroom, I wouldn't mind discussing because I wasn't aware of those, so I'd want to know what the scope of those improvements might be considered.
Make sure parking lot.
Correct.
Okay, I was told they were going to eventually put rocks around there too,
That was our wish, but we never,
so it's just a wish list.
it's a wish list,
So instead of the wood bullards, slowly replace them with.
similar to what's across the road at Lamrecton.
Yeah,
It's a wish list item for it. I'd like to see that on all of our parks eventually, kind of get that whole.
Instead of having to replace the wood bullards as they rot, get knocked down or broken, we replace them with the stones.
yes. And there's trees at Lamrecton that are supposed to be replaced. I guess some dead there, right?
Five.
5 of them?
We've planted 10 trees there this year. We haven't replaced those yet. We haven't come up with a tree that's kind of water tolerant because they seem to be in wet areas of that.
Yeah, over there at Lamrecton, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we have planted about 10 trees in the park there this year.
You're not gonna put a willow there.
You'd like one.
I would, but. Anyway, we're just mumbling here.
Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Alex.
Thank you. I've just got two things that we're talking about Lakeshore. I didn't notice it when we did this tour stop, but someone mentioned, I went and looked at it. If there's a way we can do a temporary fix, at least for now on the backstop, that's starting to curl a lot. I've received it from several people now, just
I thought we were
Mhm.
fixing that
I thought we were too.
from the first meeting with Cam Lackey. Putting boards on the bottom or something, or
Yeah,
I don't.
trying to get it through another year before we have to re-fence it.
Backstop? I did some fencing out across the road here with some boards, but I didn't.
no, at Lakeshore.
No, at Lakeshore as well.
I
It's
went
all
through
curled.
most of them.
We could add that and get that looked at, please.
And then the second one, I know it was brought to staff's attention right before the parks tour, and then I thought it was being taken care of after, so. There's an update on that spring. There's some, one of the equipments were cut and there was a dangerous spring sticking out of the ground. I'm just wondering, apparently it's still there. I was wondering if there's a way to grind it down or can dig it out, or I'm not sure what the status of is that.
The attempt was to dig it out. We did try. He got down to about 2 feet and noticed that there's all kinds of iron each direction. Need larger equipment to pull it out. So he made plans to go back out there with the backhoe and do it.
Is there, depending on how long that takes, is there a way to use whatever tool the person who stole it used to cut it down to surface level?
They did get down further.
Below. ground.
Just so it should below,
No,
right, just subsurface or something, just for now, just because.
Or realistically, if we just cut it, I don't know what the below the spring is, but can we just cut it off and leave it there until we update that playground?
Updates. I will do a little more research on it.
Even if we just cut it down below surface level and bury it or something. That's all I had. Thank you.
Think that you might leave a bigger mess than risk.
Well, there's gonna be a hole there. We'll have to fill the hole with sand or something.
Or just cover up that, what's sticking up right now with something. Barrel with,
Well, we've put it on there. It's got thrown.
Oh,
It
okay.
gets moved and thrown, so.
Jessica, could we have this template, I guess, whatever we're gonna call this thing, come back to us every meeting included? And then when things are getting done, we can stroke them off so they don't get forgotten. That way, is that
Can
good?
I
And then we
say-
can add to it as we're going and stuff.
can I finish my list?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you had, I thought you were just mumbling.
Okay, Alex, his name starts with A, it's a.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor, you have the floor again.
Blue Point Park, work up under playground equipment, which is under a 10-year replacement plan. Are you gonna do that sometime? Like,
I've ordered the chips,
okay,
the wood chips for around those.
All
There's
right.
3 small parts gonna get done this year.
once,
Nettie's Way,
yeah, I got that one on my list. So what about the drainage over at Nettie's Way?
back in the back end,
Is that gonna be done at all, or? are you
just
looking
dipping
at
out
it?
the bottom of that little ditch, because there's a little bit of infill right there, but that was about it.
Okay,
It didn't seem wet to me when we walked through it, after a hard rain.
all right, so it's gonna be worked up though and wood chips,
Worked-
right?
Worked up, dug out, and wood chips,
Because
put
it
in.
isn't on here.
The chips have been ordered.
Okay, Blue Point Canton Park is supposed to be have drainage.
Canton Park was another wood chip, on John's list.
Okay. Eaton Court's getting swings.
I'm aware of.
Or it has swings.
What's that, right?
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah,
Right on the
yeah, I
corner.
know, but I thought it was mentioned last year to do something with them. Nothing? Okay, I'll just take it off.
Placement of swings would be capital anyway, so we can look into targeting which ones are priorities and replace them.
Okay, but I've gone through my notes and I come up with all the stuff that seems to just get forgotten along the way, somewhere along the way. At McEwen, did you grease the sign again? The path got graded, right?
I've got great, the hill got graded, yes.
Okay, and did you grease the sign?
We never replaced that one sign yet.
Okay, gonna do that. Okay. Solar, you were talking about solar power for hydro, that in the near future?
We'll do some research into it. Adam and I talked about that year or so ago when we first took the park over. The options of trying to put power operated doors and stuff in there using
Mhm.
solar power.
So you're gonna look into that, right?
Mhm.
Plum Park, is that playground equipment coming?
That was what was proposed for this year, but we deferred that to area of the improvements at Reddick.
Okay,
So
and has it been ordered and,
there's no budget for it, so it would have to be a capital project for next year.
at Reddick?
Reddick, yes, that's been closed.
Oh,
We're waiting for the contract to come in. I thought we were still talking.
no, sorry, changed all of it right in midstream. Point View, can you work up that play area there? It's a mess.
Yes. We will put the pillar on the back of the tractor and
Most of the sand parks that are not being replaced will be tilled to this shortly, correct?
we do that once. We try to get through it once a year for sure.
Okay.
Hopefully a couple times.
All right, I didn't think it got done all last year. So that's all for those little things, however. I think Al said something about storing some equipment. And as we were going through with Kamlaki one day, I just took a peek into the old library, which is the old little building that the firemen were going to use for I don't know what, and there's not much in there. Yeah, there's a bunch of junk laying around. And could we maybe use it as storage for some park stuff, like when it's, I know we have to ask permission from the fire board and everything like that, but let's get something going here, because that's been sitting there like that for about 2 years. Well, be nice.
We've actually had commercial inquiries about that, people looking for commercial land. In Kamlaki, looking to rent it. And my answer from the department on that was, we use it for training and we use it for storage. If we want to request the use for it for storage, I'm sure we can make that request to the fire department.
Good. Can we get that initiated? That
Well,
building's just sitting there doing
you're supposed to
absolutely
do it.
nothing.
You guys use it much?
The association has talked at length the last 8 months about using it as like a search and rescue room for training. We've never
No, it's-
done any movement on that.
Well, maybe that'll get it moving if we,
You don't
either
use
they're
it.
gonna use it or I think we may as well use it.
For us to use it, we would have to put a couple $1,000s into an overhead door.
Yep. Better than sitting there.
Even that, it's just
okay.
letting you know.
Storage, you'll take it where it's like your closets in your house.
It's all for now. Are you glad?
Yeah, so I'm thinking we use this thing is, like I say, it's the work gets done, change the color of the font or something on it, we know,
Yeah,
and it doesn't just go to next year and we're back saying we never did get the stairs done at Arrow Road. and all that
Yeah,
kind of
right.
stuff. And we can add to it as.
So we can. call it
Yeah,
that. They go through.
so we can see it but not see it kind of thing. If you don't mind, that would be. Good. So I do have a motion. Imagine that, it's from Bojan and Thomas. That the report prepared by Jessica Wilson, Executive Assistant, Public Works, dated June 2nd, 2023, regarding the Spring Park Tour 2023 review be received and filed appropriately. All those in favor? Good. Yep. 7.2, user agreement draft between the town of Plympton-Wyoming and the Wyoming Minor Ball Association. Adam, can you speak to that?
Thank you. In conjunction with some comments that the Wyoming Ball Association provided me, Jessica and I have updated the agreement to be more appropriate for the Wyoming Ball Association. So if the committee does not have any major amendments tonight, the next step will be to provide it to the Wyoming Minor Ball Association for their endorsement. And then once the committee and the association has endorsed it, it will go to council for passing under bylaw.
Any questions on that? Anyone? Anything in there that pretty much can't lack these?
That was gonna be my question, is if it's pretty much a carbon copy of Kamaki's, like when it comes to utilities and the important stuff. It's pretty- it's the same.
The one I did see was. I was wrong, wasn't there something about the sewage? I asked the environmental committee to waive the sewage on the.
We are
Water.
currently still working through that. In our digging through all the accounts, found some copy errors. So we're sorting through those errors, making sure everything is being billed as it should be. We sorted through those, we'll determine whether that is needed. It looks like those accounts were put into the system. They were done so without sewage charges for the sprinkler engines.
And then. The only thing is, where do we draw the line? Who gets charged sewage and who doesn't? I know all the taxpayers get charged watering their grass, and then you get the pool, and then you get, so anyway.
Well, and that is the challenging thing. So the general rule of thumb that seems to be used when we're talking back to 2015 is that if you have access to a sanitary sewer, pay a sewer charge. So for a washroom, whether it's using the water or not, say if it's using to fill jugs of water for drinking, they still pay a sewer charge. But it appears where there's a septic system or a municipally run irrigation system that does not have access to sanitary sewer, they did not put the flat rate on it.
So if they have washroom. And for the whole place,
Yes. But in Wyoming specifically, the sprinkler systems have their own account and their own meter.
okay.
They are separate from the buildings.
Any other questions on that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if we may.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm not standing, is that all right?
Go to the podium where the camera.
No, the drowned rat doesn't want to go there. Just a couple of comments, just, we had a quick debrief on it when Adam sent it, which is great because there was some confusion as we have on those agreements. Just a couple of quick prelim comments back from Matt and myself. Just on section 5, if there could be an inclusion for Wyoming Minor Ball to be held harmless during the events when the facilities are being used by non-minor ball activities. So if a school, say, rents the diamond and something occurs, we wouldn't we'd be held harmless at that point, as obviously we weren't activity. And then we like the agreement, we like the way it's working. And so even the 5 years has a possibility with an extend for 1. We like the relationship we have. If that can be an extend by 2, then that would be great. Gets it a little further into this committee and the next term of council as well. And then the other is, and I forgot my section on this, so bear with me for 1 second. Under your modifications to the property, just looking for when there are modifications, just a small clause that Wyoming Minor Ball would be consulted on those capital and non-capital items which we do now. We're just looking at for the future of if it's not all of us around that table, that's something that we set in place for someone else.
Very smart and very easy, I think. Go ahead.
The only comment I have from there is, I'm not familiar with the town providing permission to the outside organization to use those fields. It's my understanding that this agreement and previous practices that Wyoming Minor Ball has exclusive rights for those fields. So if it's the schools using them, they should, do you have a rental process for that?
That was just an example. Honestly, that wasn't a real life example. It was just, should something be happening that isn't related to the Wyoming Minor Ball event, we just don't want that responsibility. Should that come at some point, you're right, it shouldn't be happening. But if for some reason there's a one-off ask or something like that.
Town Special Events Committee has something there. Then that would be our responsibility.
Correct.
So you could easily note that if a town organized event occurs at the subject properties, that the town will save harmless to the Wyoming Minor Ball for those activities that have been organized by the town itself.
Perfect. Yeah, we obviously don't want to restrict the relationship, but at the same time, understanding that component of it. That was it. Other than that, as I said, we love the way it works and everything goes well.
On paper, that was.
Yeah, I mean, not that we all don't expect to be around here in 7 years, but should the board change, should the table here change, it just makes it clearer for everyone else.
Everybody good? So I have a motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Dean Thomas, that the report prepared by Adam Sabansky, Director of Public Works, dated June 7th, 2023, regarding the user agreement between the town of Plympton-Wyoming and the Wyoming Minor Ball Association be received, endorsed, and forwarded to council and Wyoming Baseball Associations for final approval.
With the change of 2 1.
As amended.
2 years.
As amended. All those in favor? Those carried.
I'd love to save it. Again, appreciate everything Adam does. I don't, we can say that enough.
He pays you to say that. Committee reports. Start at the top, work our way down, Blue Point Park, Teresa.
Everything seems to be fine. I went down to the lake and it's still really mucky at the bottom, but you said that issue with the drainage down there anyway, like a natural.
Here, when we get out there with some chips and stuff that are doing some grinding, we're gonna, I've explained to the boys, I need that put down there at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
To get that all filled in again.
Other than that, the chips at the top and everything's really good and the other park's fine.
Okay, Kamlaki Ball, Nettie, anything there?
No, I don't know. No.
Island Glen.
Island Glen's the same too. Ever since our tour, I haven't been there since our tour, so, well, I've been busy. And, so,
Just walk the dog, or you just.
Put my hands up to talk when Nettie's done.
I'm done.
Just wanted to give the committee an update. Highland Glen and McEwen draft agreements will be going to the St. Clair Conservation Authority Board next week for endorsement. Once the committee has endorsed it, it'll be going to our own council for endorsement. Once both groups have endorsed it, it will go to a 45-day minimum public consultation period. And then once the public consultation period is done, the agreements will then be finalized and brought to both groups for acceptance.
I thought we went through that already. No, we went through the 45-day thing.
I don't think so.
This is a new process that the minister just put into place after all the bills were passed. So now that the Conservation Authority can transfer land, but to do so, they have to have endorsement of both parties, go out for a minimum of consultation period. After the consultation period is they incorporate the comments from the public into the agreement, and then they can transfer the lands.
Okay.
Which is still better than the way it used to be.
Okay. Getting close. Lakeshore, Alex.
No, just defer to the parks tour notes. They did a great job of explaining the right of ways.
Lakeshore and Lamberton Parks, Dean. Report. Mike's not here. Wyoming Ball, I received.
Did email me saying that he looked at it and everything looks good.
Thanks, Mike. Wyoming Ball, I've received nothing. the trail, nothing. And the top parks, donut.
They all look fine. I'm glad to see you're looking after the, on. Oh. The north end,
Reddick?
that, like that has really changed since we got it going, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. It's really, it's. They put trees in where we didn't want them at the time, but now they look good. So it's nice to see that, we can add more. There are a lot of kids around there, so. Yeah, play it, that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's looking good. Now, the Plum Park, yeah, they've all got to be done, but. The ones that are important, the ones that are being used, the bigger ones, I don't think Plum Park is used that much. It'll come.
Sir, go ahead.
And I think that's a great point. Basically, every top park or piece of playground equipment looks to be needed to be replaced at some point in the next 10 to 15 years. So as we're out in the community, as we're doing our tours and stuff like that, I think it would be helpful for us to really start to consider prioritizing those parks. Lately, we've just been doing it by request, but I think a statement was made that we should be looking at how much they're used, the community around them, and kind of prioritize those parks. Otherwise, we'll get into situations where we'll always hear, well, you did this park, why didn't you mine? Down and down we go. So just food for thought as the committee is out and about.
Should we, while we're talking about Reddick Park, could we bring that email up that we got this morning about possibly getting adult exercise equipment in there? Because then,
Bring that up if you like, ma'am.
yeah,
So this morning I did get an email from a resident on Norman Street. I don't know if they're aware that new playground were going in, but they did request that a piece of adult workout equipment, outdoor workout equipment would be greatly appreciated. Given that the full budget has been used for this year's capital project on Reddick Park, I don't have extra funds to put one in necessarily. However, if the committee wants me to look into getting prices on active recreation equipment just for your own future references, I can get a price on a few of those in the future. But if at this point, probably best to respond to the person who emailed us noting thank you for your comments. We are about to replace the equipment at that location, but we will certainly consider other park improvements in the future for potential adult exercise.
I'm wondering if we should consider adult exercise equipment because they have adult exercise equipment at Brights Grove. I go by there quite a bit. I've never seen anybody on anything there. So, and it's, it's right alongside the road. Yeah, I think it would, and I have seen other parks with it too. I've not seen anyone on anything. Even my own adult exercise equipment, the most exercise I get is when I carry it out to the road, and take it away. So.
If the committee is happy to carry forward in the current direction, I am more than happy not to find those quotes for you.
Okay, well, we'll let you know. How's that when we're all interested? That's all. I wonder though, if you should, is the secretary going to respond to that email then?
Myself or Jessica.
Oh, okay, all right. So we won't leave her hanging.
One of us will email her back.
All right, okay.
9 bylaws, nothing under bylaws. 10 correspondence, action required. I guess that one. 11.1, which is correspondence, recommended reading, routine approval, information items. There's an email from Adam regarding the movie equipment. You have anything to speak to it or?
So during a recent council meeting, we discussed how to better utilize the outdoor movie equipment. One suggestion that was brought forth is to see if town and non-town community groups such as Parks and Recreation or the Lions or Legion, etc., would be interested in being trained on how to use the equipment so they can use it for their own events, Optimus as well. And in other situations, they may be able to utilize the equipment on non-town events for a donation or something like that. So my question to the committee, unofficially is, would the committee be interested in operating the equipment themselves at a park event? Or are you more than happy to leave that to special events committee? We're just looking for some suggestions at this time, if the committee would be interested in that.
I think it'd be great to offer it to be used. I'm not gonna go run it for them. That's what you mean. Cause I don't have a clue, you know. Maybe we could hire a student or something.
Training would be provided.
Yeah.
Sure. But again, there's two town committees that may use it. Of those two committees, special events would probably use it more often. But we did want to make give that opportunity to this committee to consider if they'd want to be part of that, or they'd be more than happy to help support the special events committee as needed in that endeavor.
Yeah. I think it's like for them, but.
That's cool.
Fire departments, it's that kind of thing, that it's available and. Something they can do through the summer, then sure, I think we should be offering to.
That is a great point. One thing I did not put on here, and I don't think we really thought about, was the firefighters associations. So if I could find some email addresses, I will send that set information along. See if there's any interest on their behalf as well.
Because the Camelot Association partnered with some events committee members to do a movie last year.
Okay.
And yeah, a good event committee member helped them.
So I have a motion here by Nettie McEwen, seconded by Bojan, that the email from Adam Spansky, Director of Public Works, dated May 16th, 2023, regarding the town of Plympton-Wyoming outdoor movie equipment be received. And that the Parks and Recreation Committee endorse having committee members trained on the equipment and it be made available to local community groups and committees for their own events. And allow the equipment to be operated by the community groups or committees for non-local group events for a fee.
If this committee is not interested in operating that, we may want to amend that motion that the committee supports the other community groups in operating it, instead of this committee actually doing so themselves.
What about non-local groups for a fee? So is
That was part of the information for the others. Because there is a couple of committees and groups that were looking at that possibility.
town stuff,
Yeah.
that remember they wanted to rent it?
Yeah.
I,
So did we come up with a fee though, or like?
It would be by donation. But if this committee is not interested in doing that, we can probably turn down this one and then rewrite a motion noting that this committee is in support of operating it with local groups and local committees, and will support those local community groups and committees in their operation of the
Sounds like a better one.
go ahead, Dean.
Which is involved in the training to use this stuff.
I don't know, because I haven't done it.
Complex to use.
The blow up
It's not
screen.
I wouldn't call it complex, it's just a matter of knowing, like if someone understands HDMI cords and a DVD player, it's not rocket science, but it's just screen setting up the.
Tying the screen down.
Attaching the projector to the
Screen.
On a windy day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a major undertaking, but right now, is there two guys that probably one? That's all, but instead of having the committee having to go out to the Optimist, if there's a couple guys trained and you wanted to use it for a night, come get it, go use it, put it back, kind of thing. That's kind of the
I
feeling.
did forward that to the current president. So I can re-forward that to yourself if you want, so you can also distribute.
I'm sure he'll share.
Then perhaps we can kick off the external groups through fees, maybe to the events committee to decide if they want to do something.
So you want to just take off the committees for non-local groups for a fee, and then we're good?
Because I think you don't necessarily want to operate in this group either though, right?
We don't, I don't think, like, what would we do that? We're gonna go through those guys, so that's why we have them. We would greatly endorse the fact that they should be after.
Mhm.
So actually, that could be quite easy to do. We could just, the committee endorses having other committees trained on the equipment that it be made available to local community groups and committees for events and allow. So yeah, by doing that, it's not saying that you're doing it, but you're endorsing it. So
Okay, you guys are good with that?
let's use my handwriting.
Do we need it reread or are we good? All in favor? All right. Yep. 11.2 pool registration information report. And Highland Glen boat ramp. Adam, you want to talk to it or?
Yep, so let's bring it up here. So we've attached the flyer and posting for the Allen Glen boat ramp. We have had the computer active, but we've been working on bugs, so we haven't officially announced it yet, but we were planning right after this meeting. We go live with it and get the sign, as you see on the page, out on Highland Glen and on our website, so people understand.
I just have two quick questions. The first one is if you're paying online through credit card or whatever it is through that link, is there a transaction fee that we have to absorb?
Does that go on top of it, Jessica, or is that included?
I don't remember now how we did it for pool.
For the pool, we did that on top of it. We set our fees as they are, and then the transaction fee would be on top, right?
I can't remember. I'll have to ask Christine.
And can confirm and email you back.
And then my other one is just for discussion's sake. Calling it a season's pass instead of $200 per year. The only reason I say that is because if I pass in August 2023, it would then theoretically be good until August 2024. I don't know what the hanger looks like, so the hanger is for like 2023, for example.
Calendar year.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Just a discussion point.
It's easy enough to change from a year to a season.
Yeah.
Will there be signage in the park and stuff?
Yes. There'll be signage at the boat ramp and there'll be a large sign at the top of the hill saying, do you have your pass? Go here. If you don't.
I was there Wednesday and I didn't see anything yet, so that's just me.
They're not.
We wanted the committee to endorse everything before we sent it out.
Yep.
And we were still working out the bugs on the electronic side, so we had time to bring this to this committee. We could have it up and running within the next few days, and depending on how long it takes to get signs and everything. We'll probably, as soon as the signs are in, we will install the signs and go live on the same day.
Now, should we have signage at Lambert about the trail? That it's like, it's not a groomed trail. Do we need to use it on risk or anything like that kind of sign?
You mean,
Or, sorry, Highland Glen. And the trail that goes up, we left the tree down for a reason, so the guys can't ride their bikes and everything through there. Should we put a,
we've heard, but
You know,
we
like it's-
consider.
it's a trail, but it's not a groomed, I don't know how you'd say it, like a natural area.
Semi-groomed, but we do put wood trips across a lot of it. We can always add more signs, use their own risk.
They're gonna save our risk as a town by
No. It mitigates it slightly, but signs only do so much.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea, so we can put one down by the beach and then one up at the top parking lot, just use trails at own risk.
Yeah, because if they're rains are slippery and they slide down the hill, we should have been doing something. Any other discussion on that stuff? If not, I have a motion by Nettie, seconded by Mr. Bojan, the correspondence A to B. A to D. Related to the recommended reading and routine approval and information items not otherwise addressed by resolution. Be noted as received by the Parks and Rec Committee and filed accordingly. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Nettie's favorite part, new business.
Yes. Is she first?
You go last.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go on.
Fine.
Nothing.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Just gonna go right to Nettie. Adam, do you have anything?
Nothing else today, sir.
Jessica, do you have anything? Teresa, please
Um,
have something.
We were talking about it on our tour about the weed trimmers, how when they hit the trees at the bottom, they're splitting the bark. Few people have been noticing that and are worried that the trees are gonna die.
Yeah, think,
Sorry.
That's somewhere else.
sorry, I've been harping on that. for
This side of-
Somebody mentioned it, that they noticed.
You're completely aware of that. That's why we've been trying to put around the trees. But sometimes our students need to.
But do they get any, does anybody show them how to do this to begin with?
I would hope so.
I know, I heard, I would hope so too. Does anybody actually do it? Did anybody actually tell them to take that thing in their hands and show me how to do this under a tree?
Really, That's,
And
that's their
Do they
foreman, the
do it
utilities
right?
park foreman. One goes out there to show them.
okay. It doesn't show, that's all. I mean, look at the bark on the trees and they're just chewed up.
Rabbits.
That was my,
Anything else, Teresa?
Lucky rabbit.
Al. Deputy Mayor, have you got anything?
I do. No, it's just one thing. There's been quite a discussion, like, I don't know if it's the internet or the cell use at the Plympton Community Center that is difficult.
It is the cellular.
Okay.
It's horrible.
Is there anything that we can do about it, or?
Yes, we priced out a outdoor Wi-Fi system from Cogeco. I have not brought that forth because I did not want people's jaws to drop when they saw the cost of it. So we are now working with our another provider to look at utilizing the existing antennas in the area to boost our cell signal coming from our existing Wi-Fi router. The only catch to that is it would be good for minimal data, so it could be used for transactions during a special event, but it could not be used for surfing the internet or something like that. Cell signal is horrible in Lackey and much of Plympton-Wyoming and actually Southern Ontario right now. My understanding I've been giving is because the cellular companies are not putting in money into their existing towers, they're becoming overloaded with data as they're dumping all their money into bringing the 5G network up and running. So it may be short-term pain for the long-term gain, but hopefully it's not going to be long-term pain for no gain.
Be a politician.
I work around a few of them.
Go ahead, Alex.
Deputy McEwen sparked my memory of two new businesses that I do have. First one is, speaking of the internet at that park, I heard that there's rumblings that summer send off might not be happening at that park because of those issues, and I know the Hockey Ball Club's just wondering if for direction, because they have some volunteers lined up for that event. Has there been any movement on that event being for sure or finalized?
If the event does not occur in Arnold Lily Park, it will be occurring at Lakeshore Park. Lakeshore Park does have a bit better signal. So the backup plan is if we cannot get a decent Wi-Fi or cellular signal at Arnold Lily Park, we'll move the event to Lakeshore Park.
And my second one is the Optimists. It's my understanding there was a miscommunication or an error in the corkage payment. For 46 beer instead of 46 cases of beer. So they're just wondering if that payment is being sent or if it's being pushed to the next quarter or.
I have not had time to discuss that with Adam yet. I did send them a form that I've requested that they now use to negate that miscommunication. Because everybody speaks differently. One person writes case, one person doesn't.
Yeah, and there was no thing where if it was just, they're wondering if the rest of it's coming now or if it's being waited, if it's just gonna come for this next quarter payment.
I have no answer for you because we have not discussed it.
Can we look to get them paid so that they're not waiting on money?
We have paid them the first 3, so it's just that one like mix up that we just need to figure out first.
once we correct the numbers, I don't see it a big deal to issue the payment.
Yes.
I have a question about that then. If we were paid based on the data that was given to you, did you charge the renter proper amount?
No, so that's where we need to have the discussion.
Gonna come out of town money at this point, not what the user paid.
We'll look into it.
No, I was opening a can of
I didn't
worms.
mean to.
Yeah.
Open now.
I just know that they were looking for some money, that's all.
Okay, that's it. I have nothing. I have a motion by Dean, seconded by Nettie McEwen, that Parks and Rec Committee meeting be adjourned and the next regular meeting be set for August 17th, 2023. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks, everyone. Geez, we're gonna get home before 6:30.